Hello and welcome to my channel. Today we are going to make a traditional German cheesecake. The cream cheese filling is not getting baked with the cake. It will be filled in after baking. So let's start with the cake and with the ingredients. We need 4 eggs, sugar, a pinch of salt, a little bit of warm water, flour and baking powder. I sieve the flour and the baking powder first and mix them together. That makes it easier to mix the dry and wet ingredients later, because what we don't want are any clumps in the flour. Then I put in my mixing bowl the eggs, sugar, salt and the warm water, and I start mixing for about 8 to 10 minutes until the volume has increased by 3 times and the yellow color had turned very pale into almost white. Now we got a lot of air in this cake batter and we want to keep that by gently mixing the flour into the batter from the outside to the inside until all the flour had been incorporated. I baked the cake in a cake ring with a diameter of 24 centimeters or 9.5 inches. Now the cake can go into the oven at 170 degrees of Celsius or 340 degrees of Fahrenheit for 45 to 50 minutes. Now that the cake is baked, I let it completely cool down and I can start with the cream cheese filling. The main ingredients are quark and whipped cream. Quark is a soured milk, fresh unaged cheese product which is very common in Germany, Austria and Switzerland. We use it for cakes, desserts or just simply on bread with some herbs. Outside Germany, quark may also be known as farmer's cheese, baking cheese, pressed cottage cheese, dry curd cheese or pot cheese. The other ingredients are frozen raspberries, 1 lemon, sugar, and a gelling agent such as gelatin or Agar Agar. The raspberries are thawed and I blend them with a hand mixer. Then I put the raspberry puree in a pot and heat it up. In the meantime, I put 2 sheets of the gelatin into water to make it soft. I sweeten up the raspberries a little with 2 tablespoons of sugar. I heat it up a little more to be able to dissolve the gelatin in the puree, and before you bring it together with the cream cheese, just keep in mind to let it cool down to body temperature. So now that the raspberries are done, we can start whipping up the cream. I don't want the cream to get too firm, I want it soft, creamy and still a tiny bit of runny. Now I take the other sheets of gelatin and put it in cold water to make it soft, and then I heat it up to dissolve it completely. Once that is done, we mix the quark or whatever substitute you chose at this point with the sugar, salt, lemon zest and some lemon juice. Then we premix 1 tablespoon of the cream cheese filling with the dissolved gelatin to balance the temperature a little. Then I put in the gelatin and the whipped cream and mix everything up. The whipped cream at this point got a little too runny because I left it a little too long unattended, but in the end I got the right consistency to create a beautiful pattern with the cream cheese and the raspberries. So the cake has now completely cooled down and I can open the cake ring. So first of all, I carefully pull off the parchment paper and then I take a long sharp knife and I'm separating the cake from the cake ring. So the upper side is always a little bit wrinkly from the baking, and that's why I turn it upside down and I use the upper side as the bottom and the underside as the lid. So now we need to cut the cake into 3 parts, and I'm cutting off the lid first by going in about 1 inch deep, and then I'm using a twine and I put that around the cake into the cut line I just made, and then I cross it and I just pull, and the twine is going to sever the lid and the cake. I do exactly the same with the middle part of the cake. I make a cut line first and then I put in the twine and I pull, and the cake is severed into 3 equal parts. The bottom layer goes onto the cake plate immediately, because when the cake is done, you can't just lift the cake onto another plate, it's just too heavy. So the next step is I take the cake ring and I secure it around the first cake layer, and now I can start creating my pattern, which is 1 bigger spoon of cream cheese filling and 1 smaller spoon of raspberries on top of the cream cheese. And then again, 1 bigger spoon of cream cheese on top of the raspberries and another spoon on top of the cream cheese. I continue to do so until I used half of the cream cheese filling and half of the raspberries. Now you know why I wanted the cream cheese filling a little more liquid, because otherwise I wouldn't have been able to do it this way. So then I take the middle cake layer and put it on top and gently push it down a little. And then I continue with my pattern. If you don't have a set of 2 size spoons like I do have here, then just use tablespoons in the ratio 3:1, 3 parts of cream cheese and 1 part of raspberries. So now I put on the last cake layer and I also push it down gently, and then the cake goes into the fridge for at least 6 hours, better yet overnight. I couldn't help myself and I took the cake out of the fridge after 4 hours. The cake looked almost set, just the layers in between were still a little too soft, so I really recommend to keep the cake overnight in the fridge. That's my cake 3 hours later. It got all set, and I can tell you that much, it tasted unbelievably good. So that's it for today. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and leave a comment to let me know how you liked my German cream cheesecake recipe. If you are new to this channel, please subscribe for more videos and don't forget to click on the notification bell to not miss out on the next one. Thank you for watching and I'll see you next time. Bye bye!